If how you live your life is as a conformist, abiding by white ruling class derived social norms, then you may as well stop watching now, because your philosophies are cowardice and materialism. And I don't know what to say to you. You're hopeless, pretty much. Okay? So, I'm going to talk about women's judgment, and I'm going to talk about how they're screening out the Christians. Now, first of all, let's look at who historically was their opposition view. Christians historically were persecuted more than any other people. Even when Christians were persecuting other people, half the time it was other Christians, which shows you that the ruling class at some point, perhaps from the start, took over major Christian movements, merged them with governments, and persecuted Christians who didn't see it their way, which they pretty much considered as, who they pretty much considered as heretics or apostates. Now let's bring it a little closer to modern times, shall we? For all the critics. Who are the two most famous conspiracy theorists? Well, I would say Alex Jones and William Cooper. Now, what is their religion? Oh, that's right, they're Christians. Now, some of you believe that Alex Jones is controlled opposition, which very well may be. May very well be. But William Cooper died for what he believed. And he was constantly exposing Freemasons, the government, and the military, which was, something he was a part of at one point. He was part of the Navy and recruited into a special division of the Navy, or at least they attempted to recruit him, where he said that they had a paper they gave him, and one of the options to fill out under religion was Freemason, and that Freemasons were given a special role in whatever operation they were recruited for. So, logic alone will tell you that Christians are the most hated by the government. Now let's add it to the two major parties. Christians tend to be Republicans, who are for states' rights over government, over big government. Okay? And real Christians, not fake, quote-unquote progressive Christians or gay Christians or feminist Christians with talk about the mother goddess and have female pastors, but real Christians. So I'm not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat. I just want to make it very clear to you that no matter how you slice it, the government doesn't like Christians the most. So it's fair to say that any philosophy that is adverse to Christianity sides with the big government and tries to secure the rights of the oppressive minority groups. And I don't mean racial minorities, I mean religious minorities, philosophical minorities, political minorities, other than race. So, when you consider everything, my friends, you must realize that at this point, the continents of the New World Order, the minions, or their facial expressions, their demeanor, has probably changed by now. If they haven't learned to expect the truth from me, they're probably very disturbed right about now that I'm spelling it out for you. So, let me spell something else out for you. At the top of the ruling class, the main shot callers in society, if you will, the people in charge, are Nazi, feminazi, Zionazi sympathizers. Look at the Havre Agreement. It's not the first time in history where Nazis and Jews aligned themselves together. America sided with the very Jewish Stalinist regime of the Soviet Union during World War II. And afterwards you had Project Paperclip, where Jewish scientists were working next to Nazi scientists. And a lot of you don't understand that. You had white German-American scientists, white American scientists, Jewish scientists, and German scientists working side by side. And they've been working side by side in the fields of psychiatry, eugenics, technology, especially ever since. And then, of course, since the Asians made a big push in technology in the last, maybe 50 years or so, whatever it is, they are included in this, as well as the ruling class. So there's a lot of billionaires in China and Asia. So the people in charge, their philosophies are quite clear. And they go after Christians. Now let's think about this. What tactics are they using? Well, one of the tactics they're using is to go after the weakest link in society. There's the children, and then there's the women. Now, before you say I'm a sexist, this is not just the conclusion I've come to, it's the conclusion that they have come to. Is there a male group that is the equivalent of feminism? No. The MGTOW movement and the MRA movement combined are not even a fraction, or well, basically a very small fraction of what the feminist movement is. So to break down the family, they went after the weakest link, which is women, because they lack judgment. So in society, the government wants a bunch of yes men, and yes men aren't going to be Christian men. They're more likely going to be atheists, homosexuals, feminists, Satanists, the worst criminals, and racists who love a position of power, such as in the police, where they can pick on the people they don't like. A bunch of yes men versus a bunch of no, I don't like the government anyway because I'm a Christian men. So the people in charge hate Christians and Muslims and real Jews, which there aren't that many of. And for the most part, they are light-skinned Asians, they are white people, and they are white Jews, if you want to call them that. There's theories of Khazarian, Turkish, Mongol mix, and so on. Ashkenazi, German Jews, if you will. We see World War I, World War II, and the Illuminati all have to do and pretty much started in Germany. Okay. We see the royal families, have ties to Jews, royal family in England, and they have ties to Germans. Some say that they are related to Hitler, and we see them, just Google the royal family gives, English royal family giving Nazi salute. Okay. So, I've gone over a lot of this before, but this is going to be my final video until December. I'm going to compile interviews, and I'm going to leave things alone. Now let me go to the second half of this video. The second half of this video is about martial arts. It's very important that people understand this because it's a major theme, and if people do not see why I'm right, they will be convinced by a bunch of conformist, materialistic, atheistic, satanist dogs that I am wrong, which is obviously not the case. Okay, so I want you to imagine this. If you're in a situation where you had a large group of people and you were facing another large group of people, and there was only enough food for one group, and they said, okay, have your best man come out with a knife, we'll have our best man come out with a knife, and whoever wins, their side gets the food. Now, would you choose the biggest, strongest man? Would you choose the smallest, feeblest? Perhaps you choose the tall guy for the reach, the tall, clumsy guy. Or perhaps you would choose a very talented martial artist who's the fastest to get the job done. You see, almost certainly you would choose a great martial artist who demonstrates an uncanny ability to stab his opponent first. And this is my point here. When it comes to sparring, combat skills, and self-defense, I'm the top martial artist in America. Just look at how many knives are bought every year in America. I'm not going to look it up. But I can assure you, I'm sure that most of my viewers, before even looking it up, know that I'm right, that there are tons of knives being sold, and these are the things you can carry on the streets. Okay? Concealed at that. Except for unless they're longer, or, there's certain rules in different states. Some of them, they have their rules based on the length of the blade. Some of them has to do with being a folding blade or a dagger, etc. But these are the things that commonly you must consider when you talk about martial arts. People don't walk around with swords, so you must be prepared for these things. So for that reason, training to be big and strong is not what a martial artist wants to do, or somebody truly interested in combat arts, self-defense, and sparring. Why do I say this? Well, in the news, we have a lot of sports related to martial arts. UFC, you might say even bodybuilding, perhaps, has some kind of relation, gymnastics, and so on. Now, is it in the best interest of the ruling class and the managerial class of Freemasonry and society to impress upon you that to be the greatest warrior you can be, you need to be someone like me? Or do they want to impress upon you, you need to be big and strong? Well, of course, big and strong. Why? Because that leads you to their gyms, where they can make money at their gyms. And some of these gyms also teach martial arts and have aerobics classes and kickboxing and MMA and so on. So with all this money, millions of dollars that is spent on gym passes and, what have you, and creatine and energy drinks and all these little products sold in the gym and personal lessons, private training, private trainers, etc. Do they want you to come to the conclusion that the top martial artist is someone who doesn't go to the gym, someone who isn't trained? No, they don't. Do they want you to come to the conclusion that in religion, all of our religions, a transcendent hero played a key role? It's very hard to find a religion where you do not have a transcendent hero. Someone such as Horus, someone such as Samson, Jesus, Joshua, okay? Samson and Jesus were martyrs. Joshua and Samson were warriors. And even Jesus in the Bible comes back on a cloud as a warrior to destroy in a way that's similar to a warrior. So when you consider everything, I'm absolutely correct. And these people have millions of dollars to lose if you come to that conclusion. Because if somebody goes to the gym specifically to be a tough guy, to defend himself, to impress people, then if it is common knowledge that someone like me is the greatest warrior, not some big strong guy, then they're not going to go to the gym for two reasons. One, people aren't going to see it that way and they want the respect. Two, people aren't going to see it that way and they're not going to believe that they can necessarily achieve that just by going to the gym. Think about it, my friends. When it really comes down to it, are we going to say put some big guy like Cali Muscle or some big bodybuilding guy, like some different names come to mind, big white bodybuilder guys that they're very strong and they can bench press like 600 pounds, but they're very slow. And I would stab them to death even in a fucking suit, No, you're not going to want to do that. You see, my friends, when it comes down to it, I'm the top martial artist in America and I have a superior point of view. And if you are adverse to Christianity, which is the major opposition to the government, then that old saying comes up. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. That's what gays say. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. The government is a bunch of satanic, demonic scum who like to persecute Christians and like to force them to conform to atheistic and materialistic social norms. Cowardly social norms. So therefore, the government, police officers, COs in prisons and psychiatrists are full of gays, feminists, atheists, Satanists, the worst criminals, and eugenicists/racists. Now, I urge you to check out all my interviews. And keep in mind, this is my last video that I'm going to publish. As you can see, I'm cool and collected. No matter what I release after this, this is my last video. And I'm going to, for a whole month. And I'm going to point that out in the comments, in the annotations, in the description, in the title in some cases. Because there's some videos where I come off as rather harsh. But I'm very calm and collected, and I'm not going to hurt anybody or myself. So I want you to ask yourself, are you on the side of a bunch of spiritual bottom feeder cowards who side with the government even though the government is extremely corrupt? And these people have consciously made the decision that they are going to compromise their morality, fidelity, and integrity and side with the government against their fellow man because they want things their way. Just like a rapist, forcing people to do what they want because they want things their way. Just like a hypocritical feminist, crying about the sovereignty of their body while killing a baby inside of them. Pro-choice. Just like a gay, wanting things their way, even though they're a very small fraction of society, and most of us are disturbed by seeing gays hold hands, skinny emo-looking motherfuckers with rainbow-colored Speedos holding each other's hands in downtown San Francisco. Well, I'm out of time. Thank you. Keep in mind, I'm calm. Oh, I'm very calm. And if we had to have a problem, I would calmly take off my suit, and I was wearing a suit. I'd take off my tie. I'd pull out a knife, and I would kill you. I'm very calm. Thank you for staying tuned. I hope you watched this video a couple times. Share it on your Facebook, share it on your YouTubes. Keep in mind that I'm the top martial artist in America. I side with Christians and Muslims and all those people that worship the one true God. I am absolutely disgusted by feminism, atheism, Satanism, LGBT scum, you know, criminality, and what was it, racism? The spiritual bottom feeders, you know, 6 groups I always name. Those are the 6 most detrimental things in society. And of course, racism has to do with eugenics, has to do with mental health, hate groups, etc., etc. You can connect all those things to all the L's in society. All those spiritual bottom feeders can be connected to all the L's in society as the major groups doing it. And learn the difference between a spiritual bottom feeder and a real Christian. Okay? Because there's people who claim to be Christians who are actually gays and feminists and spiritual bottom feeders. They're actually materialistic cowards. As I pointed out at the beginning of this video, in the first clip, I said if you conform to white ruling class derived social norms, your philosophy or philosophies are cowardice and materialism. You have no business listening to the righteous man, a real warrior, a real man. You are a coward. You have worse judgment than a female. You need to shut the fuck up. The fuck up! I just had to say that. I was quoting my other video. I'm calm, you know. Thank you.